Star Entertainment Group Chairman Ben Heap and Director Katie Lahey have announced they will step down from their roles next year after ASIC launched civil proceedings against them and 9 former Star executives. They will both contest the allegations. ASIC is suing 11 current and former Star employees, alleging they failed to give sufficient focus to the risk of money laundering at the Sydney casino. I caught up with Sarah Court, the Deputy Chair of ASIC, a little earlier.
So these are significant allegations that ASIC has brought in the federal court today against 11 former senior executive and directors of the board of the Star Entertainment Group. And while there are a number of allegations in relation to each particular individual, at a high level, what we are really concerned about is what ASIC alleges to be a failure by the board, together with those senior executives, to properly deal with the risks that the Star Group was exposed to through money laundering and criminal associations.
Is a major part of your case the fact that senior leaders are responsible for informing company directors and members of the board about things happening in a business, and in the Star's case it seems like that may not have been done properly?
Yes, indeed, that is very much part of our allegation. So in relation to the senior executives, and we are talking here about the former CEO, the former CFO, the former General Counsel, what we are alleging is that those executives failed to bring to the attention of the board some of the significant risks that the Star Group was exposing itself to. But as importantly, this case is about the obligations on the board itself. And what ASIC is alleging here is that one of the key issues that a board has to deal with is that issue of risk. And so if you're talking about a casino operator, as in this case, some of those risks obviously involve the risk of money laundering and other criminal associations. So in this case, we allege that the board was indeed on notice to some extent of some of these risks, and despite being on notice, it didn't seek to inform itself, it didn't task the management group to go out and fully work out, what these risks were they being properly addressed, how do you mitigate those risks, and of course, as we've all seen, a number of those risks indeed came to pass.
It seems like the junket operator Sun City features pretty strongly in the charges, and you're alleging the Star's board were aware that Sun City had links potentially to organised crime, but they continued to partner with Sun City anyway. How dangerous is that as a director to be going ahead with things like that?
Well, that's one of the real issues in this case, is that we say, and look, these are all allegations yet to be made out, of course, but we say the board was on notice that there were these concerns being raised about Sun City, about whether particular people that Star had relationships with were of good repute. There was one example where we say the board was made aware that one of the persons Star was dealing with was alleged to have had engaged in money laundering activities in China some years before. And really our case is that these things all should have sent a real red flag to the board to inquire into those issues, to task the executives to go away and make sure that those people that the casinos were engaging with were people of good repute, and that these risks were being alleviated. And unfortunately, as we allege, in our view, they were not.
And how serious is the allegation that the former Chief Financial Officer, Harry Theodore, and the former Head of Risk and Legal, Paula Martin, allegedly disguised gambling transactions as hotel expenses?
Look, that makes up one of our allegations against both of those two individuals. And we say, look, this is a serious alleged breach in a circumstance where that particular card holder, China UnionPay, was raising concerns about what its cards were being used for. One of our allegations is that they were assured that this was not the case, that it was not the case that those cards were being used to withdraw funds from gambling, when we say that that very much was the case. So that's obviously a very serious allegation in all the circumstance when the issuer of the card is directly making inquiries for what we say to have been misleading responses given to it.
And how complicated is a federal court proceeding like this, where there are 11 individuals named? How long do you think this will take, and what are the consequences? Are we talking fines here or jail time?
So this is a civil matter, and ASIC will not be seeking jail time. So the kinds of sanctions that we are seeking are both the imposition of financial penalties against the directors and also, and importantly, the sanction of disqualification orders. So if our case is made out, if the court finds in ASIC's favour, we will be seeking fines being imposed and that these directors face disqualification from working as directors for a period of time to be determined by the court. But as you say, these kinds of matters are complex. They can be protracted. We're at the very beginning of the court process now.
Well, ASIC Deputy Chair Sarah Court, thanks for your time today.